Special Operations, Covert Ops, Espionage, The Team House, with your hosts, Jack Murphy and David Park.
Welcome to episode 353 of The Team House. I'm Jack, here with Dave, and our guest on tonight's show is Jack McFarland. Jack spent 32 years with the Drug Enforcement Agency, working his way up through the ranks with assignments in the Caribbean Division, working a lot in Philadelphia, instructor positions in Quantico, worked undercover operations, got into numerous gunfights, all kinds of interesting interagency operations that he conducted or was a part of, and even managed to get himself an internal affairs investigation because of a TSA agent that gave him a hard time. So there's plenty to talk about here today. And Jack, thank you for joining us on the show.
Gentlemen, Jack and Dave, thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
So, you know, the mandatory first question we ask about the guest's origin story. If you can tell us a bit about like kind of your upbringing, how you grew up, and how that eventually took you towards law enforcement.
Sure. I was born and raised just north of Allentown, Pennsylvania, coal regions, coal cracker. And basically I got into teaching and football coaching when I came out of college. And then I wanted to get into federal law enforcement. Applied to the FBI, applied to the DEA. And believe it or not, back in 1987, Ronald Reagan was president. And DEA came a calling. So I got into a DEA and I never looked back after 32 years.
I mean, 1987, what was the DEA up to at that time? Like, what was it sort of like going through your training? And I imagine some of your instructors were probably Vietnam veterans during that time.
We had, remember now, DEA came on board in July 1 of 1979. And so we probably only at that particular time had about 2,500 special agents. Now, since around the late 90s, we were upwards around that 5,500 mark, worldwide personnel. So most of the instructing, we were not as lengthy. The academy was not as lengthy. The academy these days, I think since the 90s, have been like 17 weeks. We were more like, I think, 14 weeks. We got trained well. No one trains you better than Uncle Sam. You two guys, I'm sure you know that. You've been part of it. And they don't mind spending the money on training. And that's what they did for us. And I do have to say, probably one of the most rigorous I've been through. I've been to college football camps and high school football camps, and DEA came after us, absolutely, to train us.
I remember, like, you know, in the 90s, the DEA was looked at like as sort of I don't want to say cowboys as in wild, but they were the guys who like went out and did shit, like compared to other federal agencies. And weren't they the last federal agency, law enforcement, that like didn't require a college degree, or is that not true? Like, I'm trying to remember.
No, DEA, 4-year degree.
They always, okay.
Master's degree better if you have it.
Okay.
Because what that'll do for you, Dave, is that'll allow you to become back then, either be a GS7 like me, coming on board as GS7, or a GS9 coming on board if you had that master's or JD degree.
Okay.
So unlike the Bureau, they were 11s coming on board.
I see.
And was the Caribbean Division your first assignment?
No, believe it or not, out of the academy, when you go through Quantico, you get hired on, you go through Quantico, you do 14 weeks of training, and then you get your assignment. And my assignment was the Philadelphia Field Divisional Office. But I hired through the Allentown resident office because that was closest to my house where I grew up. So I went there. When I came out of Quantico successfully, they end up sending you back to your office of hire, it's called. So when I went back to my office of hire, which was Allentown, it was a small office. You know, you worked a lot with the different state and local guys. And I spent about a year there. But my knowing that I was supposed to go to Philadelphia as my assignment out of the academy. So after 1 year, it was finally, okay, got to go to Philadelphia. And that's when I went to the Philadelphia division. I entered into Group 3. And Jack, back then, Group 3, in Philadelphia, we had a number of enforcement groups. And each group had different designees. Like, we were basically coke, remember this word? Crack cocaine and marijuana. Well, we went after crack cocaine in a heavy way in Philadelphia in the late 80s. And that was the height. That's the height of it. So other groups had heroin and meth and different groups had different other designees. So we have Philadelphia, Allentown into Philly. And I did 8 years in Philadelphia. Loved every minute of it. I got my grades in Philadelphia. Met some great people. My partner, Frank, who I won't, he's just an amazing guy. He was a former New York cop, New York City copper, detective. And he taught me the ropes. He taught me the ropes, and as well as another gentleman named Bill. God rest his soul. He passed away. But I am 62, so it's, I remember when I was 24, and these guys were 38, and I thought, oh my God, they're old. I got to work with these old guys. What are they gonna teach me? So it was quite interesting. Yeah.
And when you were in Allentown in Philadelphia, that was when you got into a couple shootouts, right?
Yeah, I got up in Allentown, and Allentown was kind of, I won't say funny. When anytime there's a round weapons are discharged, it's not really funny. But Jack and Dave, we were in this parking lot. It was a Pennsylvania State Police case, and the trooper did something he shouldn't have done, and he went from being an undercover to basically being an arresting agent. Well, the bad guy didn't think it was funny, so he takes off, and there's a trooper hanging on the car. He lets a round go, 45 into his thigh with a 45, blew the guy's thigh out. Well, myself and another trooper were in an old Monte Carlo. Those Detroit muscle cars, old Monte Carlo. We come nose to nose with this sport utility. Well, there's the funny part. Here I am, a 24-year-old snot nose. I go to kick my door like Miami Vice to get out of the car. Well, those doors in those old Monte Carlos? Thing sprung back and hit me and sent me right across the freaking car. Troopers looking at me going, what the hell are you doing? Get out of the car. So I said, the door just knocked me. The door knocked me over. So I had to get out of the car, my tail between my legs. And we got infected. He cleared the car, effected the arrest of the bad guy, and cuffed him. And I said, ooh, this guy's bleeding. And he was pulling blood. He was bleeding. So he was shot. Yep. Trooper was okay, though. Yeah, he was okay.
And then there was another one in Philly with the Jamaicans.
Oh, the Philly one was quite interesting. That was a little more extensive. In Philly, we were covering a confidential informant, a confidential source going in, and basically we were doing a marijuana case. That was part of our responsibilities as responsibilities of Group 3s. And so he goes inside, and the confidential informant and the two bad guys get in an argument on the front lawn. Well, they all pull freaking weapons, and they start shooting at each other. Thank God that one. I'm glad the CS wasn't shot. I remember the guy he was a funny guy, funny Jamaican dude, and he wasn't my guy. He was one of the other guys. And so a couple of rounds went down range, and he hit one of our guys, hit one of the guys, and they get into a van. So now there's a vehicle. We don't like to say the word pursuit, but there's a vehicle follow, an aggressive vehicle follow. So we're following this van. We're going through the streets of Philadelphia, Northeast Philadelphia, and we know where they're going. They're going to try to get on I-95. So we got to get on I-95. They're heading southbound. So we called our base operator, and our base operator basically says they'll get the Philadelphia Highway Patrol unit in, and they bring the unit in. And Dave and Jack, one of the most impressive things I've ever seen, we're traveling southbound on a 5-lane highway on I-95. We see these blue and red lights coming behind us and blue and red lights coming at us. And there was like about 3 agent cars we were following. They so smoothly got the traffic cleared, and they pinned in the van. And these highway guys, now highway coppers in Philadelphia, boots, Gestapo belts, scrunch hats. You don't mess with the highway boys because they have H's on their cars. They're highway. They come out with shotguns. They don't come out with the handguns. They come out with shotguns. And these guys didn't know what to do, man. They just pin their hands against the freaking windshield, dragged them out. They go to clear the vehicle, and one of the remember one of the highway guys saying, bomb, 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 bomb. We're like, what? So they had to shut it down, bring a bomb squad in, and what it was dynamite attached, but there was no detonation device, and I don't know what the guy was trying to do, scare somebody or whatever. But one was shot. The other guy was two were taken into custody, and typical, we had to answer questions. And here I am, another young guy. I think, what the hell did I get myself into?
Is it normal to let the confidential informant carry a weapon, or do they kind of have to because it's like part of their cover?
We said the same thing to the controlling agent because he was in this house. So we were not inside the location, and they came out. So we did not search the house for any weapons that the confidential informant may have. So you see my plight. So he comes out of the house, probably sticks it in his pants because he had it under the table. And he's like, I know these guys. These guys are going to come and they're going to try to muscle me.
Yeah.
And guess what? He's like, I'm not getting killed in my own house here. So that's when we're like, you can't do it. He was blackballed after that, though. He was gone. He was done. So he was finished.
Was
my guy.
was this about the time that you also got stuck up and ripped off?
That was this is a great one too. This was when I was working undercover. I was working with a college professor. One of our offices out in the western part, just west of Philadelphia office. I'm going to go with West Virginia. Okay. And he was a college professor. He was a chemist. But he knew a guy from Philadelphia who was dealing in bulk. He was dealing in kilos. So our office in West Virginia said, we can't do anything out in West Virginia with this guy. It's in Philadelphia is the stores. Let's hand it off to Philly. So he hands it off to Philly, group 3, being cocaine, hands it off to me, hands it off to group 3. Our boss named Rick says, Jack, you're up. You want to take this one? I said, sure. Okay, great. So we meet, we do our thing, we get a cover story together. I'm a graduate student at the University of Penn in the city. And this guy's, he's a college, I know him from college, teaching chemistry and all that stuff, or whatever. So what happens is we meet first. No problem. We're going to do a kilo of cocaine, $25,000, North Philadelphia. I remember the street still, 3rd and Albany. I still remember it. So we ended up doing, 25 we agreed upon, no problem. A couple of days go by, we put another another call into the guy. Are you ready? I'm ready. Okay, we're ready. So we have about 15 agents on the street, very tight locations in Philadelphia, North Philadelphia. This dude was, believe it or not, one of the last holdouts of a white guy. I mean, most of it was all Jamaican or Puerto Ricans, you name it, but not white. He didn't want to move, but he knew all the players up there. So we ended up having a situation where we roll in. Back in the day, we learned a lot of lessons about this. Don't bring the money. But we brought the money in the trunk of the car because all the money was going to be showing a sign of good faith. Right. Hey, I got the money. Go get your dope now. Where's the dope? Where's the kilo? Well, he comes out of the house. We meet in the middle of the street. He goes, give me a couple minutes. I got to go and get it. Like, where are you going? He goes, I'm just going to walk around the block. I got to go get it. Like, oh, okay. So we sat there. I radioed up. Said he's going to be on foot. He's going to get the packages. So we got a surveillance team follow him. We got the location where it came out of. We went back, of course, later on to the source one location. He goes back in a brown paper bag. Happy-go-lucky up the street. He goes into the house. And he comes back out of the house. Now I tell the CS, sit in the car. So I go to the trunk of the car. When I pull the trunk of the car, this guy meets me across the street, and he's carrying a brown paper bag. So I said, you got it? He goes, yeah, here. And he shows me. As I show it, he goes, now, where's the money? And I go in to reach for the money in the trunk. That's when I feel the 38 snub nose going to my ribs. He goes, not today, bro. Give me your fucking money. Excuse me, my mouth. Give me your money. I'm like, what do I do, Jack and Dave? We're trained. Training takes over. I believe in training. I love training. Repetition. Bam, my hands went up so fast. Danger signal. Well, let me tell you something. You want to see 15 federal agents flying down the street. I'm talking, they rolled in there so fast, that guy didn't have a chance. He's here. Here's the cars coming in. He sees guys' feet coming down the concrete pavement. He sees this. He tries to make it for a beeline for the house. Well, in Philadelphia, just like maybe in Brooklyn and the Bronx or whatever, you only have sometimes you have stairs to get inside the house. Well, he tries to get in the house, and our boys cleaned his clock. They cleaned his clock, man. Cuffed him up. And here's the funny part. When my boss came, grabbed me, got me in the car, took me off the location, off the set, the guys that were arresting him, it was the end of August of 91 or 92, Jack and Dave. And the Eagles were there was, I guess what it was called, they were playing the Dolphins in preseason. And he says to the guys, the arresting agents, well, I guess I'm not going to be able to see the Eagles game tonight. You're going to prison. You're looking at 15 years minimum right now. 5 with a ventilation, and then it turned out 1 kilo turned into 2 kilos. So he was looking at 10 years right there. It was over 5 years.
Wow.
And he ended up getting. And you got to give the guy credit. He ate the charge. He didn't cooperate, and he got like he was like 10, 15 years ago.
Wow.
But he did get fired for pulling a weapon on me. And I thought to myself, I'm 25 years old now. I'm thinking, is this the right thing? I should be on the practice field coaching safeties and receivers, right? So it wasn't good, but I was fine. I was fine.
Hey guys, it's your pal Jack. I just want to take a moment to tell you about the sponsor for this show, which is StopBox. StopBox makes this very cool box to secure your items in, or your valuables or weapons. Could be a firearm, knife, things that you want to keep away from kids. Opens up like so. And the way it locks is very interesting. And you can change the combination, by the way. So you have these actuators on the side. And in this case, for demonstration purposes, the code is to hold down the index finger and pointer finger, and then come over and there's a thumb. Hit that, and it opens up. So that's the code. This thing is proudly made in the US of A, so they keep the quality very high. It's also TSA compliant, so you can throw this in a bag and travel with it. And StopBox also offers a range of other innovative products, including their vehicle safe, chamber lock, and other essential gear designed to keep you prepared and protected wherever you are. For a limited time only, our listeners are getting a crazy deal. Not only do you get 10% off your entire order when you use the code HOUSE at StopBoxUSA.com, but they are also giving you a buy one, get one free for their StopBox Pro. That's 10% off and a free StopBox Pro when you use the code HOUSE at StopBoxUSA.com. Discover a better way to balance security and readiness with StopBox.
So after running around the wilds of Philadelphia, is that when you were assigned to the Caribbean division?
Well, what happened was when I in Philadelphia, I spent 8 years, a lot of great investigations. Well, one particular investigation, if I may, real quick.
Yeah, please.
This was a biggie. We had an operation against a couple of Colombians in the city.
Oh,
and we were utilizing an undercover from customs named Julio. Great guy, great customs guy. And we ended up negotiating, or he ended up negotiating for 100 kilo delivery, 100 keys of coke in Philadelphia. And this gal, she was the head of the organization. I won't give any name, but she said, yeah, we can do it. 25, what was it? 25, let me look at my notes here. 25, I'm going to get my notes here if I correctly. Hang on one second. 25 a key. Okay, so yeah, we're looking at, and she wanted in $20 bills. $20 bills, she wanted street money bills. Don't give me 50s, don't give me hundreds, give me 20s. I want 20s. So we had to go to the Federal Reserve. We had to go to the Federal Reserve Bank. We got approval. It took a lot of effort, but we got approval. And we went to the Fed Bank, and we ended up taking out $1 million in cash. Because why? You never go on the street, Jack and Dave, with a short package of money. You don't do that. It's only in the movies. You put 100 up top and the rest of the paperwork in between. You're going to get yourself hurt for that. You can't do that stuff.
Yeah.
You can't do it. So bottom line was, we ended up getting $1 million. You know how much 1 million pounds weighs in 20s?
$1 million? How much?
112 pounds. 112 pounds of $20 bills. 112 freaking pounds. We busted into. There was 50 stacks. There was $50,000, 50,000 bills. And basically, at 100 stacks, we did 50 in one bag, 50 in another bag. I still remember the guys doing it. And I was on the hook for this. Me and my partner Frank, we were on the hook for this money. I'm like, man, we can't lose it. We can't lose a $20 bill. So bottom line was, we gave the undercovers, the money men. They could play for the defensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles. They came in looking really sharp, rolled it in a 750 black BMW, tinted out, the cigars in their mouths and black jackets, and they sold her. They sold her, man. And she went and got the 50. She got us 50, and in the other place we hit a search warrant. We got the other 50. Successful case. Funny story. We come back that next day. Our SAC, the special agent in charge, Sam, his name was. He comes back to the group. Says, "Men, great job last night. Great job. He says, Mac? I said, yes, sir. He goes, don't forget, get that money back to the Federal Reserve. We're going to be charged interest on that. I said, yes, sir. He was worried about the freaking interest on the money. So
do you
we got it back that day.
Do you recall how much interest the DEA got charged?
I don't, Jack. That's a great question. I don't know, but one of our admin officers says it was pretty extensive. So you got in a 24-hour period every 24 hours. Back then, this was like 1992, maybe 93. We did the operation. We did this case, and yeah, we had to get that money back. And you know what was the best feeling? Though every $20 bill was there. Not one was missing. One was missing, man. I was not doing a freaking other because we couldn't even do a count on it. We had to get an authorization chronological order sheet from the Federal Reserve. It was just too much money.
Yeah,
and we had to do it that way because we had to look like we were traffickers, dopers. We knew what we were doing, and she bought off. She bought it, man.
You can't look like the Federal Reserve when you roll up with that in your trunk.
I mean, it's and trust me, we probably had agent personnel in that street. We had air units. We had, I don't even think there was a tracking device at that time. We probably put some like a bird dog or something in the bags just in case. We must have had 30 or 40 feds, county guys, state guys. Just that money was going nowhere, man. It was going nowhere. So it was. I remember doing it on City Line Avenue in Philadelphia. I remember doing it on City Line Avenue at TGI Fridays, and it was well covered, man. Well covered. A lot of fun. Thank God no one got hurt.
Any others you want to talk about from Philly before moving on to the next one?
No, I think those I think they stand out in my mind. I mean, honestly, I got to give kudos. I got to give kudos to the guys and gals that worked Group 3 in Philadelphia from 1988 to 1996 when I was there with the people. I got to give them kudos. We were such an aggressive group. I got to give kudos to my partner, my I know it's not an award show, but my supervisor, Rick, he would get us, we would come up with these crazy type of scenarios. Just between over the cusp a little bit. You guys knew as former Rangers, you kind of like, yeah, we can't do that, but we can do this stuff. It's kind of a fine line until you're tripping over yourself. And he would get these things approved, and man, they would work out. And man, it was fantastic. And what a bunch of good people. What a bunch of good people. We were about anywhere from 12 to 15 anytime, any gunslingers anytime in the group, 12 to 15 of us. And we rock and roll, man. Our motto was no state cases in this group, federal cases, no state cases. We want to take them all federally. We did. Yeah.
And what was the next assignment after Philly?
We went down to Quantico. We were given the opportunity to go to Quantico. Very tough at the time to get into Quantico. And I'm going to be honest with you, my former partner, Frank, was tight with the number 2 guy in training named Lou. God rest his soul. He passed away. He was a great guy. He was the number 2 man in training. And they were both detectives together in New York. And made a phone call, and they had several openings in the gym with the instructors. So I was able to get into the gymnasium. And it encompasses physical training, defensive tactics, entry training, which you guys love, bang them and slam them, and then also vehicle containments and any type of arrest in and around vehicles. So we had 4, we probably were with the students the most of the 17 weeks. We call it the tactical unit, yet we have multiple responsibilities that we had to do everything from defensive tactics. Well, what's a defensive tactic? Well, we used to teach Krav Maga fighting. We had to teach the personal weapon skills fighting. Some people never got hit in their lives. I boxed when I was from age 12, middleweight, and all that good stuff. But you would see some of these people, and you're like, we had a guy break his femur in boxing. Now you see yourself, Jack and Dave, you're like, how the hell did the guy break his femur? Heavyweight bout, 2 big boys going at it. Great guys. Brad, and of course, I hate to say Mr. Viney, he passed away. Mr. Viney gets his right foot caught behind his left foot on the rubber mat in the academy.
I see.
And all of a sudden a body shot comes and spun him around, and you hear this boom, busted his femur. I was like, oh my God.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Dave and Jack, I'm telling you, it sounded like a gunshot. We all fired the 12 gauges.
Oof.
It sounded like a gunshot going off. And we all like, what? Very big eyes. We're like, what just happened? And thank God he was good. He was fine. Meaning he had to get it repaired, but we were able to graduate him.
Wow.
Because boxing is like in week 14 back in the day. It was 17 weeks. Can you imagine going through the training again? No. We got him his gun and his badge, and he walked across the stage on his crutch.
Yeah, who breaks a femur, much less a
Femur.
much
Yeah.
less in boxing?
Yeah.
Think about it. You think to yourself, how does that happen? But when he got his foot caught, we saw it coming.
Yeah.
And Mr. Brad,
And he
the
probably
right
weighed
thing.
like what, 250 or something like that?
God, I would say probably, I'll give you, Mr. Vine was probably about 250. Mr. Yule probably about maybe 225.
Yeah.
And Brad was, one of these guys. It was a former football player, and good guy. And that right there was probably the most tragic event that I witnessed in the academy with my 5 years there as an instructor, as an agent instructor, because we'd have people going, coding, they'd go, CPR, they'd heart attacking, or we had guys, National Academy students in the locker room dying of heart attacks. They would die of a heart attack in the freaking locker room. Because remember, in the academy, you have DEA, you have FBI, you have the National Academy students. Who are the National Academy students? They are students that represent local, county, state, and international law enforcement agencies. And you got guys that coming in and they're like, dude, you got to run and you got to do push-ups and PT and work out. And they're supposed to be cleared, but sometimes doesn't make it. Like the 62 days you guys endured down there at Ranger training, you guys are all squared away before you go in that place. If not, you're like, get rid of this guy.
You said that you really enjoyed your time at Quantico. That was kind of like the most rewarding part of your career.
That's a very good question, Jack. Yeah, I really did. You know why? Because we were actually making the next generation of agents.
Yeah.
And they looked upon you. I mean, we had a Pat, his name was, he's passed away as well. Pat Shea, he was a combat vet, Marine vet in Battle of Way he was in back in the day. And he was always this. You have to don't smell like booze, and make sure you're shaved. And he was tight, man. He was tight. He was a big man. He played at University of North Carolina for guard tackle. And Pat ran a tight ship, but he wanted to exemplify, this is the next crew of people. This is the next body of people that we want to train in the right way. You have to make sure, are they driven? Are they competent? Can they, I mean, it sounds crazy here, but can they kill someone? Can they do it? Do they have the mindset? So we had to work those people to make sure they can do that. And, most of my people, you get 50 in a class, we would probably not lose as much as you guys, Rangers would lose, or your rate. We would lose maybe, 2, 3, 4 out of 50 because they couldn't shoot or they couldn't do the PT or some reason why, bad attitude, dismissal because of bad attitude. But most of the time, very rewarding to me from being a former teacher and a coach. I was able to train them that way. They used to say I would repeat myself 1,000 times. Well, that's what I would repeat myself because it's about repetition, rhythm, repetition. And I still did this. One of the guys, when I didn't see him in years and years and years, he was a former student of mine. And he was out in Los Angeles. He got to his first office of assignment. They got involved in a situation where there was a bunch of gangsters and they all split up. And him and another agent go running after the guy. They get him. And all he said is, I could hear you yelling, cuff, double lock, high risk search. Cuff, double lock, high risk search. And he goes, cuff, double lock, high risk search. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Right? How cool is that?
Yeah.
And his name is Mark. And I said, I didn't do it to hear my own self-talk. I wanted to do it for you guys know what the heck you're doing. And one of the greatest things I'm most proud of. Yes, I had a few people that got themselves in a little bit of trick bags on the job and they're no longer on the job or they got in trouble. You can't be with them 24 hours a day when they leave. It just can't be. You just can't do it. Don't blame yourself. But not one got seriously injured or killed on the job. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
They're good. They were good to go. Right? I mean, I'm sure you have instructors the same way, would feel the same way. If you guys ever taught an instructor, you don't want to put them in a bad situation. Would have broke my heart if I heard that such and such guy, blah, 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 because he lost his weapon during a fight.
Right.
Or whatever.
Right.
We used to fight constantly. To calm the guy, on the ground and fists and elbows and punches and knees and kicks. And they'd be stinky, sweaty down the pool deck, sweating it out. Welcome to DEA, baby. Welcome to DEA. And the Bureau would be up there. No disrespect to the Bureau. They'd be up there in the air-conditioned gym doing their thing. I'm just kidding, man. I know he had Chris on his show. I'm good with that, His locker, Chris Wickham's locker, was literally down the road from my locker in the main locker. And he was such a quiet guy. Nice guy, good operator, never speak badly about anyone. And those guys, HRT for a moment, you had him on.
Yeah.
And he's a super guy. And he, HRT, man, they're no joke. But remember, with HRT, they train.
Yeah.
Morning evolution, afternoon evolution. They are training. And God bless them, man. God bless them. So.
For a long time, I mean, maybe it's a misconception, but like people would say like HRT doesn't actually do anything. But I mean, the last like 10 years or so, especially, it seems like they're getting after it quite a bit.
I believe they are too. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, you had some situations that they were really kind of getting a bad rap for.
Yeah.
The ones, the Ruby Ridge, the one this one, the one that. It all comes down to, what's your focus? What do you want them to do? How many teams do you have? How many are in a team? And, it's the same thing with us. If I may kind of transition a little bit.
Yeah.
We had what we had snow cap operations. Snow cap operations were a group of men that would go to all the different schools. And then you go down south and you blow up clandestine labs and you make a ton of money. This is the days back in when I first, probably in the 80s into the early 90s, and they disbanded. They disbanded the guys.
Yeah, Snow Cap is where they had like Vietnam veterans flying Hueys down in South America.
Yes, you got it. You absolutely got it. And they were hardcore, man. I mean, we had one guy in our group 3, named Dick. And I won't give the last name because he's a warrior, man. I'll tell you that. But Dick, he would love to break the FNGs. And I think you know what FNG stands for. Freaking new guys, freaking new girls, And he would come around on payday when he's back from deployment. And he'd have a stack of money on him. And he'd wipe his brow and he'd go, oh, it's so hot today. And we're like going, we're GS7s, man. We're like making like $25,000 back in like 1987, 1988, And I'm like, damn, maybe I should sign up for Snowcap. And then I find out what Snowcap's about. I'm like, nah, I don't want any things in my intestines, and I don't want to be going to the bathroom at all hours of the night, So then we moved into a program called FAST. Now, this is where the 595 comes in with the ODAs. And God bless them, and thanks, like I said, for doing what they did. Well, you guys did in that, Jack. And so the Foreign Advisory Support Team, there was 5 teams, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo. And they would rotate in and out of Afghanistan. And they would work counterinsurgencies and drug missions and go into the bazaars and blow things up and burn things down. And it was effective. But what happens is you get the higher ups. And then it's like, well, you're doing a little too much, shoot them up, banging them up. We're going to have to pull this back. Because the fast guys are then moving to other operational theater, Honduras. Doing some other, snatch and grab work off the coast of somewhere. And it's like, whoa. We just want the fast personnel to 60 or 90 days to do these missions with ODA, 595 or whatever. And that was something that, that was dangerous. That was very, very dangerous. And a lot of times it came down to too many congressional hearings, too much push going on. And the guys that ran it, I mean, they're friends of mine. I mean, they were super guys. I mean, they were wonderful people, and they know their business. But it just when the higher ups say, we can't be doing that anymore. And they just dismantled all these weapons. Jack and Dave, I'm talking like all kind of crazy weapons, man. Beautiful weapons, as our president will say. Beautiful, beautiful stuff, you know? And gone. Spend the money. It's gone. Gone. So now we don't have foreign advisory support teams anymore.
The fast teams were super active in Afghanistan also, I should point out. That's kind of like an untold story, I think.
Can you, I mean, could you probably, my sharing with the fast team was as I was in inspections, every time they pulled the trigger, we had to investigate the trigger being pulled from afar, because we couldn't enter into a war zone. So a lot of times it was very, very short and concise. A did this, B did this, C did this, and boom, it goes to the shooting incident board, and most of the time it's cleared. So, but you're right about that. And they were doing everything your ODAs were doing.
Yep. Well, and they as I recall, they did work with Special Forces, with SAS, with Australian SAS, a bunch of different units, like
because they were
joint
country,
ops.
right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and you know, and I know, I had the opportunity to deal with some of those. Some of the Australians. They're awesome, man. Yeah, they're awesome. They come to Quantico and they want to work the houses, and on our free time we'd work with them, and we had different Argentinians coming in and Special Forces, and it's just coming in to train. And me personally, I am not a military guy.
Yeah,
but I was trained in the ability to teach certain ways of tactics, and it worked out. It worked out.
Yeah, and I mean it's easy to see how they would start having mission creep or expanding their scope or whatever else, because when you're in theater, whether it was when it was with Snowcap or with Fast or whatever, like you're always looking for work, and you might go down with like this approved mission set or these approved parameters, but when you see other things and you go, oh, well, that needs to be addressed too, and you've got, and everybody's willing. Right.
I think they were tasked to go after the heroin though in Afghanistan.
Right. But I mean, but if they're sitting at, at Bagram with one of the TFs, they'll go knock on a door and go, hey, what are you guys up to? Is there a way we can incorporate or get into this or, whatever? Like you're always like pimping yourself. You're always looking for work in those environments.
Like I said, I never was part of a fast program. I take my hats off to those personnel that did it. I know a lot of them that did it, that were former students that rolled over to the field work, and then they went over to the fast team, fast program.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Nor did I say I wouldn't want to do it, but those that did it, God bless them, man.
Yeah.
God bless them. A good friend of mine, Carson, he was involved with it, and this guy looked like Bull from Night Court, and he was a mean motor scooter, man. And he was one of the PT instructors with me in Quantico. And he was like a fifth degree black belt in the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and he would wrap you up like a spider, and you're not getting out of it, dude.
Yeah,
you just got to tap out. I'm done. He's embarrassing you.
Hey guys, our show is sponsored by GhostBed. Check them out, please. They make awesome mattresses, awesome pillows, awesome bedding. GhostBed provides high quality and super comfortable award-winning mattresses crafted in the US and Canada. Did you know that 60% of US adults report being too hot when they're trying to sleep? That's me. I'm a sweaty little baby. That's why we designed all of our products with cooling features so you stay comfortable and asleep all night long. Pair any of our mattresses with GhostBed's award-winning adjustable base and get the ultimate sleep experience. GhostBed rules the family-owned business, 60,000 plus 5-star reviews. They have sleep experts on staff with 20 plus years of experience. So if you have any questions, you can hit them up and ask them, maybe what kind of mattresses work for you. 20 plus year warranty. That's 2 times the industry standard. Free shipping and returns on mattresses. Most of the products ship out within 24 hours. They have in-house customer support and sleep experts chilling in Plantation, Florida. It rules. It's the best. They give you 101 nights risk-free to make sure that these beds are right for you. If you don't like it after 101 nights, you could send it back, full refund. When you purchase a GhostBed mattress, your comfort guaranteed. I'm reading it right now, and it's capital letters, guaranteed. Okay? They do the right thing, and they're a great company. If you're not sure which GhostBed's right for you, like I said before, you could take their mattress quiz online, or you can give a call to one of their sleep experts, and they'll help you with exactly what you possibly could need, what works for you and what doesn't. And the best news about this is, Team House listeners and viewers, you get an extra 10% off site-wide for a limited time. You just go to ghostbed.com/house and use the code HOUSE at checkout. One more time, that's ghostbed.com/house with the code HOUSE, HOUSE, at checkout for an extra 10% off site-wide. I want to thank GhostBed for their continued support. I want to thank all the fans that listen and watch for their continued support. Without you guys, we are nothing. So thank you for supporting the show, and thank you for supporting the companies that help support the show. GhostBed.com/house for 10% off. Made in the US, made in Canada. Shout out to our brothers in Canada. They rock. Check them out. I love GhostBed. Thanks, guys.
So, but God bless those guys for doing it. God bless them.
So,
But
where did you go after Quantico?
Quantico then went down to the was promoted. I was promoted, Jack and Dave, to resident agent in charge of the St. Croix resident office in the Caribbean division. Now, the Caribbean division, the divisional office is in Guaynabo or San Juan, but we have what we call, it's a hybrid division, meaning you have territorial offices, Puerto Rico, St. Thomas, St. Croix. Then you have foreign offices, anywhere from Freeport, Bahamas, all the way down to Williamstead, Curaçao, all the way down the island, all the way west. So we call it a hybrid division. So you're working with domestic, basically, with those offices in Puerto Rico. What kind of offices in Puerto Rico? Well, you have the San Juan office, you had the Aguadilla office, you had the Fajardo office, you had the Ponce office. So all around the island in a block. But yet you had a Freeport office, you had a Nassau office. So it was very complicated sometimes because one hour you're working domestically, next hour you're working foreign. Like, in other words, I could have guys in Antigua working with the Antiguans, and then my other guys over in Fajardo executing an arrest warrant with the Fajardo office. So it was very, very challenging, to say the least, because I had about, as a boss, I had about 19 weapon carriers down there, very close with the FBI, very close with ATF, Customs, Border Patrol, believe it or not. And it really worked out. Really, really did. It was a lot of challenges took place because you're on a 28-mile wide, 28 long, 7-mile wide rock. You have to think outside the box. And we had to think outside the box there. You really did. It's just like any mission that you might have been on, you're like, oh, this is a normal mission that we've done before. It's like, no, it's different. It's changed. It's changed because you're on the island. You're dealing with air, boat, assets. You know, maybe you're hitting a location, hitting the door. Unlike the cities, you're hitting doors, crashing doors. On the islands, it changes. It's different.
On the surface of all of this, an assignment to St. Croix sounds like it's a kind of pleasure tour.
Yeah,
this is a really cush place. But
you're more than welcome to come and stay with my wife and I for about 3 months. And by the time, I got to get off this rock.
Yeah.
I need to leave this. I used to give the guys R&R to go take dope back to Miami, to burn dope in Miami, because you get rock fever, man. You get rock fever.
Sure.
And everyone knows you, so you have to work outside the box.
Could you also kind of lay out geopolitically what the situation is down there? Because the Caribbean, obviously you're there for a reason. There, you described it as a scene of modern piracy. We got everything from the cocaine cowboys in the 80s, and now we're into the 1990s. Both, like you said, air, sea, and land, drugs being smuggled south to north.
That's correct. I mean, when I was there, and this goes back a long time. This goes back a long time. I was there from 01, 04, 4 years, running the show down there. Had great coordination with the troops from all our alphabet agencies, but also the Dutch, the French, and the Brits. Think about that, because those islands,
colonial powers.
It's funny because people say the Americans got the worst islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and we got Puerto Rico. I mean, I'm no disrespect, but you got St. Martin to the French. You got the ABCs down below to the Dutch. They're beautiful, and it was like, oh, okay, and we got these guys. Okay, so we have to take this. But who was I got to be honest with you. We had, no disrespect to the other countries, America, the Dutch, the French, and the Brits. It was the Brits. Mick, I'm just going to go with the guy named Mick. He was the man over in Tortola. We were tight with the Brits. They would bring sea assets, air assets in. They would think outside the box with us. The Dutch and the French, this guy got with 2 keys of heroin. Okay, give him a ticket. Kind of deal. Not being disrespectful to them, but that's what they would do. We would go to a coordination meetings. You'll like this one. Go to coordination meetings. And we'd have a coordination meeting, say, in St. Martin, the Dutch side. You have the French up top and the Dutch down below to the south. We go over for a coordination meeting, and the Dutch would be there, the French, the Brits. And who would come walking in? And they'd all say, and here come the Americans. And here come the Americans. And we'd walk in, because why? Because the Americans, they all thought that we, being the Americans, we were the ones that were driving everything, pushing everything, spending the money, bringing the personnel in. Kind of true, because you made a comment there, Jack, of dope going north and money coming south, and that's absolutely true. Because when that dope comes off the coast of Suriname, Guyana, not Guyana, Africa, G-U-Y, out of south up the southern cone there, and then you have Venezuela, and then you have Colombia, and of course Ecuador. So then they have to go through the Panama Canal to get into the Gulf. Into the sea, the Caribbean Sea, and they stay inside the sea. They don't go out to the Atlantic Ocean. It's too rough. So they'll run that all the way up till they get around our neighborhood. And then they'll break either for Africa or Lisbon, Portugal, or they'll break over to Puerto Rico, or they'll go up the chains to the TCs or up to the Bahamas. It's an art, man. It's an art. We had it pinned down routes and routes, and I probably walk in that office today and look at the board. I'm like, man, it doesn't change. Still happening.
Yeah.
Still the same thing. And people say, well, what about the 7 centam countries to your west? They're keeping that. They'll blow off Honduras sometimes. Will come out, but that dope has to be trucked through land, possibly getting further caught or seized. Versus you put on the water. You guys been down there, I'm sure you have, in missions, and you look down there and you see you're punching holes through the darkness, and you're like, where are we? You're flying at nighttime. You're like, where the hell are we?
It's also interesting, some of it has to do, I think, with how much flight time a single prop plane has on one tank of fuel, and where they have to land to refuel. And if you look at the flight range of those planes and go on Google Earth and start calculating where they would have to land in that Caribbean, southern cone, it becomes pretty clear what the drug airfields would have to be.
Absolutely. I mean, one funny movie, and I don't know if you guys ever seen this, but it's funny. I don't really watch the copper shows or whatever, but get a chance to watch American Made with Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Which is based on a true story. Yeah.
It's a true story, man. He worked all the alphabets. DEA, FBI, ATF, CIA. He was killing us all. And he's down there with the narcos, hanging out with the narcos. And honest to God, they know the routes. They knew what they were doing. But that say what you want, laugh at it or whatever. I think it's funny as hell. But watch that movie. But it's true. They'll know. I mean, they know that the submarine action that's been happening over the last number of years, the submarines or the these people had the biggest, may I say, gonads in the world. They'd be in these little Yola boats. You know what a Yola boat is? It's a low-lying boat with a little putt engine on it.
Semi-submersible.
I think of gas and a thing of water, and 2 guys in it, and they'd be on the boat with 50 kilos on it in the middle of the freaking Caribbean Sea. Like, what? The Coast Guard, a 110 or a 210 would pick them up and go, what are you guys doing? Oh, we need to get this to Puerto Rico, And like, oh, my God, you're going to die out here. You're going to die. It's whatever they're getting paid, $50 a key. I don't know.
Supposedly it's like hell on earth on those improvised mini subs too.
Oh, I don't even know. I couldn't even talk about those, but I bet, man. I mean, I couldn't imagine it.
Okay.
But honestly, that's a great question. Yeah, Jack. Great question. And Dave, great question as well. But we were always active. The St. Croix office and the Caribbean division, you had to work with the foreign counterparts because of intelligence.
So tell us about some of the ops. In one case, you did a reverse undercover sting.
Absolutely. One of the greatest cases, man. It was awesome. Great thinking. A guy named Joe put this together. I give him kudos, and the guys helped him out. amazing. What we ended up doing was we got approval for this. And when we became the bad guys, we became the bad guys. The DEA became the bad guys, meaning when you talk about reverse undercover operation, what we ended up doing was we made these burlap bags, burlap bales, 10 burlap bales. In those 10 burlap bales, we had upwards of about 50 kilos. It was 2 pounds of wood, 2.2 pound of wood, newspaper wrapped in duct tape, and 50 of them stuffed in the burlap bag, stuffed in the burlap. So we had 10 of them. And our mission was to fly it in with a DEA plane. And we had an offload crew. The crew was going to come and going to get these 10. We told them, you got 10 to get out of the water. Who told them? Confidential informant, confidential source. We couldn't get any agents into this crew. Couldn't get it in. We had to go with this confidential source. We ended up, had the plane. We have you'll like this one. We used to have a 42-foot go fast boat down there assigned to us. 2 of my guys went to boat handling school for it. They could drive that thing around the Caribbean, burn some fuel. Must need it, right? So this plane came in, 0300 in the morning, cover of darkness, drop, boom, boom, 10 bales out. Okay, dropping them out. So that's 500. That's 500 keys. Overall, times 2.2 pounds, about 1,100 pounds. Throwing it out. Bam. These guys came off the beach into the water in their little Yolas. In the cover of darkness, Dave and Jack, they were able to locate all 10 bales.
Wow.
When they came off the beach, they had a van. That van was to put them in the van, take it to a storage facility on St. Croix, because it was then going to be moved over to Puerto Rico the next day or within a day or two. Well, unbeknownst to them, when they came off the water and they get feet dry, that's when the arrest team, we came in, we nailed them all. And 2 of them were like Virgin Islands National Guard guys and, just looking for extra side hustle money. And
so
yes.
Obviously I don't want you to, I don't want to get into questions of like tradecraft or your operational security, but like when you're doing something like that, for these guys who are like the offload crews or transpo guys, are they like independents who will work for any cartel that says do this, or are they part of a cartel's pipeline?
No, that's a great question. That's a great question, Dave. It's mainly going to be who wants to pay somebody to do a side hustle. That's what it is. They're looking for money down there. They could be doing this 1 week. Next week, I hate to say this, they're taking, human trafficking off a cargo ship over to Puerto Rico.
Interesting.
It's sad. It's sad sometimes. Everyone, you come into the Caribbean, and I always tell people, yeah, blue, green water, sandy beaches, blue skies, it's great and all that. It is. And it's very expensive to live. Healthcare is so-so. And we'd always say living in a third world country under the American flag, it was rough. But you know what? I salute the people that work the Caribbean division. Because back in the day, and I'll put it in football terminology for you. The in-country agents that are in the Colombian offices and the Guyana and the Ecuadorian offices, they're like the defensive line. Then you move into the Central Americas and you move into the Caribbeans. Now you're like the linebackers. And now they get into America, US of A, they're the defensive backs. That's the best way I can put it. The lines of defense are there all the way through.
Yeah.
And it was, I always considered us, if we don't stop it here, it's getting in and it's getting to a bigger location, the United States of America.
Yeah.
Because they can go into Miami, they can go into Jacksonville, they can go into the Carolinas, the Phillies, they can just bump. And it was true. And it was definitely true. And we would try to always, a lot of times you get calls from the CONUS offices. Say, I'll just give you an example. Say Atlanta. Atlanta got a case, an operation, and they know these guys that are from St. Croix. And we'd be like, yeah, we know them. Yeah, we know Jones, or whatever. And sure. And well, we got a warrant up here for his arrest. I'm like, well, what do you got? And they would tell us. So we would kind of formulate a plan with our St. Thomas office to try to end up sticking this guy up not only in the Caribbean, but also hit him up in the Northern District of Georgia, of Atlanta. And that's the best way, because we used to try to get these guys off the islands, because even though you had federal court in St. Croix and St. Thomas, who are coming into the jury pool? They're peers. They're tied in. He's my aunt. He's my uncle. Forget going to territorial court. They're going to get off. So you have to take the cases federal. And we would love to take them federal off another jurisdiction, like the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, Southern District of Florida, Middle District of Florida, just to get them off the rock. And I'll tell you, my people, my guys and gals, they were aces, man. They were awesome. It was hard. It was hard when it came evaluation time, because everyone's getting to know, man. Everyone's getting to know. Outstanding, because it's just I had to do what I had to do for it.
So when because I've heard in the past that whether it's drugs or human trafficking or whatever, that even though there are different parties that are like responsible for that stuff, that they tend to follow the same paths. And is it because of these like sort of independent agents at whatever way stations or localities it is that just facilitate movement through borders or through areas?
Well, main thing when you're talking you're talking different stages throughout. You
Right.
have to remember they wall each other off. They wall each other off.
Okay.
Like if you get caught with it, you don't know I'm the next leg.
Right.
Because we don't want to know one another. We don't want to be that co-conspirator.
Right.
Kind of stay away from one another. But yet you have situations where, as the dope moves further north in that Caribbean, it gets more and more expensive. And it's just like that freighter captain that brought that load into Philadelphia. I mean, you don't think he was talked to?
Right.
Oh man, and he's like, I have 1,052-foot containers on here. I didn't know. I didn't check them all. I didn't check them all. So, and that was going all the way to Montreal.
Yeah, we haven't told that story yet on the show, so we should.
But I want to get, I do want to get into that one. But there's also the assassination attempt.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yes. Assassination attempt. One of my agents. I'll tell you what a hardworking guy this guy was. Great guy. Former 82nd Airborne guy named Angel. He just amazing. He's from St. Croix. His family owns probably the best restaurant on the island that deals with chicken. You'll love that type of chicken where it's just cooked on the open flame. We used to always call it, get the chicken on a Friday and that. And so what happened was we were investigating an organization, and the organization on the island, they were dealing with getting their packages from down south, and they were also going against the crew over in the BVI's named the Hodge crew. They were very, very much battling it out. They were looking for total territorial. They wanted to be part of the be all end all on that part of our region. So what happened was our guy agent, and when I say agent, he's a deputized task force officer.
Okay.
He's a Virgin Islands police officer assigned to my office. Great guy, well known, just a tough guy. What happens is his father is closing down the chicken shack. They call it the chicken shack. Well, Angel's father is driving the son's pickup. The senior's driving the junior's pickup truck. Well, the gangsters, they're not the best at intelligence or surveillance. They think it's the officer, the agent, let's call it, okay? As the pickup truck leaves the location and is driving on the left-hand side of the road, now picture the islands, left-hand side of the road, but you drive with the vehicle wheels on the left-hand side as well, like in the States. So this other pickup truck comes up behind him, cover of darkness, about midnight. He was going to the dump to throw some trash away. Comes around on his passenger side. Two gunmen, automatic weapons, stand up in the back of the truck. 60 rounds. They counted 60 dowels, 60 rounds, 30 and 30. That's 60 rounds. 30 rounds, total of 60. He was hit 3 times. 60-year-old male, 223 rounds. The man survived. The only way he survived, he used to carry a snub nose, a 38 snub nose on his ankle. He fired over the hood of the car at them, didn't hit anybody, and they fled. He survived. 2 3 .223 rounds hit him.
Wow.
And 60 different dowels. That's the USVI. Well, when that happened, Dave and Jack, it created a firestorm. It created a firestorm on the island for the agencies. We were the lead agency. We brought more firepower in there than you could imagine. We had all kind of personnel, DEA, FBI, U.S. Marshals, ATF, Customs. We just brought it all in. And we sat on these personnel, this organization, from January till about May. And the crime statistics went way down. Chief Francis, Commissioner Francis, loved us for it. And I said, we cannot sustain this. And we were taking these, and we were arresting these guys left and right because we had federal wiretaps. We were kicking doors. It got so crazy. It got so crazy that the guys from the BVI were coming over and killing them. And I said, no, don't kill them, because I need to do a personal history arrest form on them, because if you're dead, I can't take you as a statistic. It's just a little joke. It's a little joke.
Yeah.
It's a little joke. But if they're dead, I can't take you as a statistic. One in particular case, it's about 11 o'clock in the morning. And there's one fella, he had these long dreads. And I get a call at the desk. Hey, boss. Yes, Chris, what's up? You'll never guess who was laying in the doorway in his house. And I said, who? And he says, blah, blah, blah. I said, I got to come and see this. They had guys dressed in black, masks on, shotguns. He tries to run out the back door. Now, mind you, it's a block home. There's no up and down stairs, no basement. It's just a block home, man. Galvanized roofing. And you've seen it in Africa and all that crazy stuff. He goes to run out the door, leaving his girlfriend sitting there watching The Price is Right. He goes running out the door. They hit him in the back. Boom, boom. His dreads were flipped over his head. He was crushed in the middle of the door. So, like, great. Now I can't take this guy's stash.
So these other criminal elements were moving on these guys because of
absolutely.
That's
because
wild.
They knew they weren't armed. We were doing their work for them. And one particular guy, the main guy, and I'll just say they call him the Godfather. He was basically standing in his yard. Now, let's be honest. The yard is a chain link fence with dirt and a little block building. He's on the phone. And about right across the street, boom, boom, AK-47s. One to the head, one to the chest. Dropped him right there. He was still on the phone talking to his woman, his girlfriend. They found him holding the phone still.
Wow.
They went over, searched the bush. There was the casing. So when you talk about, like, was I worried about the family members? Was I worried about my wife? Was I worried about the guys on the islands? Oh my God, yeah. Absolutely. Because they were just doing their crazy stuff. 50,000 population on the island, about 100 murders a year.
Wow. So
most of them gang related. It's crazy. I mean, one particular shootout, they had where I would turn to go home. And I know my wife at a particular time, she's at the gym, and I know she's finishing up. And I get her on the phone. I said, where are you? She says, I'm at the gym. I said, stay there a little bit longer. Do some more work on, on a stepper or elliptical, whatever you're doing. Just hang out there a little bit longer. Because they were investigating a shooting right at the intersection.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa. But you know what? We did it, man. The day-to-day of the Caribbean, man. Caribbean Division.
And so around this time frame also, I mean, it's early 2000s. You want to tell us this kind of humorous story, I guess, about the internal affairs investigation?
Oh, geez. Yeah, that one I talk about because, I said this earlier. If you're not doing your work, you're going to get an internal affair, or we call it OPR, Officer of Professional Responsibility. And, I was good for my career. I didn't get any crazy stuff laid on me or whatever. And I was in the inspection division, but on the misdemeanor side, not the felony side. So what happens is 9/11 takes place. It's September 2001, 9/11, 2001. Wife and I are coming back from the in-laws from Christmas. And now this is going to be, I guess, in January of 2002. Well, the TSA didn't have their stuff all together at the time. They were just fairly new. They were virgin. They didn't know what really was going on or how to treat law enforcement and how to treat passengers. And so I do my normal thing. And if you guys don't know what we do, we got to move to the side because we're going to be armed. We're going to be have to identify ourselves and, sign the book and a whole bit in any airport. And then my wife still has to go through regular screening. This one fella, he worked for Kmart and he was the head of TSA for that. And he basically came up hard on me. And I
highly qualified.
Highly qualified. And I basically gave him the tin. I didn't shove it in his face. I didn't do any of that magic. Well, we got through security. We get to the plane. We're going from Harrisburg to Philly down to St. Croix. And I said to my wife, that guy's going to cause me trouble. He's going to cause me trouble. I just felt it in my bones. I just felt it. When I looked at the case file, there was a case file on me because of this. There was a piece of paper, 8.5 by 11 white piece of paper, ripped in half, and a note on it, and said, "This agent was disrespectful to me."
Wow.
And I got an investigation on me, an allegation
that's crazy.
of disrespectful. It must have cost Uncle Sam like $2,000 to do that, to get me cleared. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me? So in my retirement party, I told the crowd, and I had one internal affairs investigation, and I beat it. And they're like, "Mad Jack, what was it?" I said, "A TSA case." That doesn't count. That doesn't count.
That's funny.
There are a few other interesting things that happen, throughout your career here. Do you want to tell the story about your cooperation with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police in tracking the freighter coming in from Venezuela?
Yes, great case. Mike and Matt were both the case agents. I was like a third on it. And we had information that a freighter was coming out of Venezuela up to Philadelphia. Now, we were working very closely with not only DEA, but also Customs on the way. And that freighter was given basically a free rein on a controlled delivery covered by Customs, basically let it move up to Philadelphia to its destination. And when it hits Philly, we're going to board the vessel. And that's what happened. When that vessel was being tracked all the way up, imagine this, all the way from Venezuela through the Caribbean Sea, all the way up past Miami, bam, hits Philly. Well, when we ended up hitting it, getting the container, we knew the container number, pulled it out, and they had within 2x4s. The trafficking, the distribution organization, trafficking organization had 1.1 pound baggy stuff, not 2.2s, half kilos in boards for a total of over 1,000 pounds, 1,000 keys. Well, that tractor trailer, that 52-foot freighter, 52-foot, what do you call it? Container.
Cargo container, yeah.
Cargo container was going to be taken to Montreal, Canada, and handed off to the RCMP and also our office in Montreal at the time. And it's going to be in the cover where you have a driver. The driver is, an unwitting driver. He's a professional tractor trailer driver. And when that thing gets on his vehicle, on his track and his trailer, he's going. And man, I'll tell you what, Jack and Dave, you want to see a professional driver take off? Well, he took off, man, and he drove. And this guy knew when to stop, where to stop to get that package, get that load up to Montreal border. When we were going up the New York State Thruway, a storm came in. We had a fixed wing covering it. We were watching the fireflies up on it, nighttime and all that. They came upon a storm, and the plane says, "We have to veer off. I can't go through the storm. I got to veer off. Ground units, you take it." Well, the ground units weren't close enough. Like, talk about miscommunication. We basically lose the tractor trailer for a period of time. We find that truck stop on the west side of I guess it was the New York State Thruway, Interstate 87. We circle back around. He's pumping fuel. Like, woo, we found him. The bird goes and gets more fuel as well. Storm passes. He gets back up in the air. We move back on the interstate. But before going on the interstate, I took a ball peen hammer and I smashed the little red light to make a white light show through it. And I said, there's your beacon, man. And we followed that beacon up the thruway until the storm did pass. And we got up to the RCMP or the Canadian border. We had to give our weapons up. So we were pretty much like, we're just kind of hanging out now. We can't do anything because the RCMP won't allow us to bring the weapons in the country. So that was it was a great investigation not just from the guys down south to customs and us in Philly, but to RCMP, international case. You talk about an international case. And that was going to an organization, a bunch of gangsters, Italian gangsters up there in Canada. And we stayed up there for the week. And I think on Thursday, they did the takedown. Why did they do the takedown? Because when they broke in, they had the location wired up. And when they broke in, the dope, per se, the wood, that's when the takedown took place. And we were not part of it. But it was the RCMP did a great job of that. That organization is a dynamite organization.
It's kind of, I mean, if I understand the concept of the operation correctly, I mean, it is fascinating that you guys knew this shipment was coming from Venezuela, tracked it to the United States, allowed it into the United States, drove it through the United States, crossed another international border into Canada, and then let the buy sort of pseudo take place so that the Canadians could not only seize the drugs, but also arrest this local group of gangsters.
And that's what you call international control delivery. Mm-hmm. International control delivery. It's pretty hot. It's one of those things that you have to get certain approval, and the higher ups got to approve that.
Yeah.
Because what's the biggest thing that could possibly happen?
You lose track of shipment.
Okay, so another 1,000 keys. There's another 1,000 keys of coke get put on the street. And people are like, oh my God, you can't do that. You can't do that. Well, trust me, we let it go, being like it's on a boat. It's on a boat. Where's it gonna go? Go into the water? You're gonna push the container into the water? Let it go into the water? No. Let it get to port, and that's when you take it. And that's when we ended up taking it. And you have to have right information. Because if you see those freighters, and you've seen them, up in New York and Baltimore and Newark up there and Jersey, they're stacked to the gills, man, with equipment, with stuff in them. But you got to know what number, and you got to know what, because once they start moving all that stuff out, it's like moving chess pieces, like moving a puzzle. You get to the right one, and you can run dogs all over them. Those pooches are gonna be burned out before they find it, and that's basically. I keep saying customs. I'm an old school guy. Customs. Now it's Homeland Security. Yeah. Customs and Border Protection. God, there's so many other alphabets out there now. I got to be honest. I know my normal DEA, FBI, ATF, CIA. Marshals. So, but to do that, it was quite an entertaining feat to say. And as a bottom line, no one got hurt. That's always we do. Safety, safety, safety.
What is sort of like for you guys, for your hires, like what is the risk analysis? Because like you say, whether it's you guys kicking drugs out into the ocean in order to identify the pickup crew, or allowing the shipment to come in, because we see like the ATF Fast and Furious, right, where they tried an operation and lost track of everything. So like
the weapons.
Yeah.
So like that one I cannot speak on. I do know that it was not a good thing, but
right. I don't, not necessarily for you to speak on that, but you guys are engaged in similar types of operations where there's a certain element of the unknown where, if you do lose the eyeball or something like that happens, or if they do something that's maybe that changes up their pattern of life where it's like this, we didn't expect them to do this, and now we don't know where they are. Like, how does that, what's the risk mitigation type for you guys, for your hires? Does the executive level sometimes get cold feet when it comes to this kind of stuff?
I mean, that's a great question, Dave. I mean, it depends on, what's the old saying, risk versus reward. Always err on the side of caution. And I get it with the higher ups. I became not that higher up. I mean, those guys are in the SES levels making those decisions for an extra $12,000 a year, and they're all getting gray hairs and they're getting heavy set in the bellies because they can't do anything but being the opposite. Like, oh my God, what am I going to do? How do I do this? But I do believe that I may boast here a little bit. I do believe that the DEA and what we do, from training and knowledge and lessons learned, we have seen it and done it. But then again, we've done all kind of trickery stuff and all kind of great things, and it works out. I mean, yes, we might lose. I hate to say the word lose. Yes, you might lose. I'll be honest. In Baltimore, I'm up in Baltimore. I'm first out of the Caribbean division. Now I'm used to dealing with major loads. I go now from the Caribbean division as a resident agent in charge up to Baltimore as a group supervisor. Another wonderful group, Group 6, 16 weapon carriers, Baltimore City guys, Baltimore County, state guys. And one of the first missions during the week, they want to go out and do a controlled delivery. Oh my God. I said, okay, well, you want to go and do a controlled delivery. Okay, now I'm thinking controlled delivery, Caribbean division. I'm thinking multiple keys,
Right.
and whatever. Well, they got a package from the FedEx. They used to hit the FedEx places. And they ended up getting it was like 10 pounds of weed. They wanted to control the delivery this. And I'm like, no, you got to be kidding me. Because I even said to them, I said, well, what do you got? You got a couple 100 pounds? What do you want to do here? How much is it? They go, 10 pounds. I'm not being disrespectful to the guys. When I showed up, I was like, what? I mean, because I was used to working with, it's like you guys. You guys are used to working with the former tier 2 operators and then, tier 1 operators. And all of a sudden they say, yeah, go and teach these guys, go work with these guys from the National Guard here. You're like, what? You're like, no disrespect, but I'm not saying you're dumbing us down, but it's like, are you sure you want me to do this?
Right.
So what I did for the guys, I wanted to see how you were going to operate. I wanted to see how you're going to operate as a former coach, as a teacher. I wanted to see how you're going to operate versus how we operated in Philly and Allentown and down in the Caribbean. How are you going to operate? Well, let's say it didn't go so well because the gentleman in the back missed the eyeball and the crook went out the back with the 10 pounds of grass.
Right.
And guess who had to write a memo? Oh no, not the boss, not me. It was the case agent. And then the boss, there was like, what? And I'm like, it's 10 pounds of grass, 10 pounds of marijuana.
Yeah.
No one got hurt. I said, okay.
Right.
But that's a great question you had, Dave. But honest to God, you try to you take all the bull out of it. You try to whittle it down. You're still going to get issues.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys know Rangers. I mean, you're in a swamp somewhere. You're doing something crazy and you're not supposed to do it. And this guy's over there, doing something you're not supposed to be doing. It's like, did you see that? No, I didn't see that. You need to cover your 6. No, I missed it.
Yeah.
Well, now you got us all killed.
Yeah.
But bottom line with that, though, and that's a great question. That's the only time, and I'm running up to God. I was in federal court. Is the only time I was part of dope being lost.
Yeah.
Was a mere couple pound of grass in Baltimore, and the guys felt terrible. They felt terrible.
Yeah.
I said next week we're doing it, and we're gonna have remedial training, and we're gonna do it again. And they honored that. They were honored because I didn't say no more.
Yeah.
Nope, not doing that. So
Another something else that happened, I think, in the latter part of your career, you were involved in the investigation where there's a helicopter crash where a bunch of DEA agents were lost.
yeah.
Can you tell us about that one?
Good one there, Jack. Yep, good one. Yeah, that's gonna tie into what you, my friends, were part of, and basically Special Forces 5, Special Team. Excuse me, I want to get the right terminology for you. You are. I'm gonna get my notes here. One second, my brother. Fifth group. Yeah, you were Special Forces Group 5, fifth group, and of course you were over there in Southeast Central Asia and Middle East, and basically what happens was our guys would always work with the ODA, Operation Detachment Alpha 595, which would be the fast. Or if they weren't fast, it was just basically some of our guys out there with the bazaars, burning the heroin and that. And very sad for DEA. If anyone wants to look this up, October 26, 2009, we lost 3 of our agents were killed and also 7 military personnel were killed because of a CH-47 was shot down. And I mean, that comes close to your hearts too, guys, because of the fact that, being former military. And it was during it was another one-night mission, and it was an hour-long gunfight. They got up on that bird, and it crashed. And we lost 3 agents. And if I may be so as well, since we're on losing personnel, there's in DEA headquarters, there's called a Wall of Honor, and that Wall of Honor is in Arlington, Virginia, in our headquarters. And when we came over and into DEA, we've had 54 DEA personnel killed, and their portraits are on that wall. 54, and that's rough, man. That's rough. I mean, I know the CIA, Dave, they'll like to put the stars up and all that stuff, and one thing is that you have a situation where you have 54 just killed. I mean, all kind. I'll be so bold. My roommate in the academy, God rest his soul, Eugene T. McCarthy. Please look him up. Eugene T. McCarthy. He was killed February 2nd, 1991. He was the #1 student in our class, Naval Academy graduate, major in the Marine Corps. He was assigned to our San Diego office. He was in, of course, SNOCAP at the time, and his unit got called up for the first Gulf War.
Oh, wow.
It was a Cobra gunship helicopter pilot. And I share this with you. I share this with people because I honor him. I honor him very much. And he was a Brooklyn, New York kid, 75th precinct. Calgary Cemetery is buried in. And what happened was he was running Wounded Marines coming out of Iraq, February 2nd, 1991. And his Cobra was giving him trouble. And that's a gunship. Night vision goggles on, first generation night goggles, visions, smashes his chopper, hitches it, bam, into the sand. They didn't have the neck brace. They didn't have the harness to the helmets like NASCAR they do now and all that fancy stuff. Snapped both of them. Him and his captain, his gunner, were both killed. And when they went out to find them the next morning, they was just like, they looked like they're sleeping. Now, Gene was this #1 student. He got to pick where he wanted to go. He wanted to go back to San Diego. Wonderful man, wonderful fellow. I still have his phone numbers. I still have his phone numbers from his phone and all that shit. His residency, everything. Carlsbad, California. And I honor the guy because, you think, well, who's these guys? Do they get killed? Is it dangerous? Yeah, even though he was not killed on a DEA mission,
right?
But he had to raise his hand because he was in the reserves. His unit got called up, and he went to another hot spot in the world to serve his country. And one thing I like to say is there's an author named Joseph Campbell. Okay? Joseph Campbell, and I just found this today, and I was thinking about it. I said he once wrote, "A hero is someone who has given his or her life to someone bigger than his oneself." Think about that, bigger than his oneself. And the hero is and the book that he wrote about it is the hero with 1,000 faces from 1949. And that's true because you guys probably know the same guys, man. They give their stuff up for life and limb, man. They do it, and we've had agents wiped out, and 5 of them crashed in the mountain of Peru. We've had agents undercover, up in your place. Everett Hatcher, undercover deal, killed. There's a street named after Everett, New York Field Division office guy. I mean, there was a New York State trooper killed, Syracuse guy. I mean, I can go on and down the list, but I want people to realize that this is not a job that's like all fun and games and all that stuff. No, man, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Let me put a light on a minute.
Yeah, please.
Does that help?
Does that help? Not well, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me put this one.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, that's great.
That'll do it.
I love it. Right.
So Jack, tell us a little bit about sort of like your career winding down in retirement.
Career winding down in retirement. So here's a funny one for you. I'm in Baltimore. And you do your how can I put this? You do your supervisory out in the street, your supervisory time in the street, which I did. I did a number of years in Croy, 4, then 3 in Baltimore. So I was the boss on the field on 2 separate assignments for almost over 7 years. Most guys, they'll get into headquarters about, after 4 years, but I had to do, it was a long list, and I missed where it just started. The program just started, so I had to wait. So I got called in. I had to go into my former SAC, the former boss of the Caribbean Division named Roger. He sees my name on the list. He's now like he was like the chief inspector or the chief operations. I can't really remember. He was up there though. He was a heavy. He calls me up. He says, Jack, he says, I see your name's on a list. He says, of course, I'd like you to come into the inspection division. And I'm like going, oh man, inspections. I said, geez, he said, I want you to go to OPR, which is our internal affairs. And I said, oh boss, I really don't want to be doing guys in internal affairs and all that. He goes, okay, you're going to inspections then. So we have a misdemeanor, we have the felony squad and a misdemeanor squad. So I went to the misdemeanor squad, which was more of like, you go to the offices, you inspect things, make sure all the pencils are counted, all the cars are in order, but you travel the world. It's a little boring, but you travel the world. So I'm thinking, two things I hate. Two things. I became a newspaper reporter, writing all the time. And then I became a travel agent. I'm always on the road. I was gone for, 52 weeks. I'm gone for, 30 some weeks to 52 weeks on the road inspecting. I did it for 5 years. 5 years. I couldn't get out. And meaning to another assignment. And I learned a lot. I can tell you every darn, class of, different settings. If there's 34 this, there's 30 that. Or
every Toyota Corolla that the DEA owns.
Yeah.
I mean, you go from being a gunslinger to like, hey, can you count how many pencils you got? Did you sign that in red pen or blue pen? And maybe I shouldn't say this, but we used to have a little game we play. And the game we play with a couple of agent inspectors. Now remember, we were all bosses in the field, ran our own offices, or you ran your own groups. Now they bring you in the headquarters and now they put you in inspections. Yes, it was a prestigious, very much so, very much prestigious, absolutely shirt and tie. You have to, lace it up and all that stuff. And I don't mind getting dressed up. I call it the Superman outfit. Put the Superman costume on. And so we used to have a little thing. We go to, let's say we're inspecting the Philadelphia Field Divisional Office. And we roll in there like an army, 40 inspectors come in because it's a big operation. So you have to do certain things. So we used to have call interviews. You have to interview the employee. And it was an interview sheet. You have a sheet. Okay. You have a sheet. And you bring the person in and show your badge, gun, creds, credit card, driver's license. And then a couple of questions answered. So we used to time ourselves to see who would have the fastest interviews done and conducted for that particular assignment, just to freaking ward off the monotony sometimes, It's just like, wow, I used to be somebody,
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to that story. But then I went over to diversion division. I finally got out of inspection. I really learned a lot in the year I was there. I don't know if you guys remember the K2 and the spice craziness, the potpourri that people were smoking and making it crazy.
Yeah.
I was on that thing for a year, and I learned a lot about it. All I knew was it was dealt with the THC of the marijuana, and people were smoking freaking potpourri and making them crazy, or jumping off bridges and running around with no clothes on. It's like, oh God. So then I finally had a contact in our operations division, and I was able to get out of there, and I went to operations. And operations was great. I was in the Mexico, Central America, Canada section. Can't say enough about those guys and gals. Probably the busiest, in my opinion, the busiest. As I said, we're all busy, but I think I'm just going to say that probably the busiest in headquarters in relation to the operations division. Then I oversaw the offices up in Canada, but yet helping with the Mexico and the 7 Centime country offices. But my main focus was the offices up in Canada, which we have an office in Vancouver and Ottawa. We closed down the Montreal office, and they were great people. And all you're doing there is catching. You're like, what do you need? I need 10 grand for an operation. Oh, great. Send me your operational plan. And So, and after that, about a year, Jack, and a year, Dave, about a year out from retirement, mandatory retirement at 57, they HR gives you a tap on the shoulder and they say, time to look at the paperwork. Time to look at the paperwork. And you're like, what? And you're like, mandatory retirement's coming in 12 months. I'm like, really? So when you're done, I mean, you're finished. I mean, it's a good ride. I had 32 and, it was, I miss it though. I mean, I miss the people. I miss the hunt. I do miss the hunt. And what gets me is, and you guys notice too, the GP, we call the GP the general public. The general public doesn't know a darn thing what you are capable of doing.
Yeah.
You're just a guy on the beach, or you're a guy in the gym pumping iron, or you're a guy in a bar with having a drink, and they think, what is he about? What is he about? Maybe we should try this guy. Well, let me say, bro, come on and try it, because I might be going to be 63 years old, but we can still roll a little bit, but just you're just like, they don't get it, man. And the bottom line is that we know what we've done, and that's good for me. And I know what I was part of. You guys know what you were part of, and it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. We served this country. We did right for this country. We did some great things for this country, and some of our people, some of our friends didn't make it back, man. They didn't. Yeah. They got shot up, or they're dealing with ailments, or dealing with PTSD because they got I got the gun in the ribs at age 25. I think if I would have got that later in life, I think I would be a little more me.
Yeah.
I just I'm invincible. I can deal with that.
Yeah.
I'm good with it. I'm good.
Yeah.
You want to say I'm good. I'm good, Rick. I'm good. My boss. I'm good.
So
do it.
I just wanted to be. I wanted to make sure, because you mentioned this before the show. How did you find out about, or how did you come to email us? I want to make sure you give that shout out.
I'm gonna give a shout out to my neighbor. My neighbor, Nick, who's my beach neighbor here. He was the one that said, "Did you ever listen to these guys on the Team House?" And I go, out of New York City. I go, Team House? No, let me check Team House out. So I did, and I said, okay. And I did some magic with some guy in New York, and I did some other things, and bam, you got me on, and I love it. I love it. I honor you guys, man. I honor you, and like I said, all I'm looking for, man, is to let people know that there's guys like you doing what you guys did, and there's guys like myself who did it, and there's people that are doing it, because it's not an easy life. And I'll tell you, the spouses, you talk about rate of divorce and alcoholism and crazy stuff on our job.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's there, and you got to be really strong. And some of these things, I was watching a Joe Rogan. He had this one guy on one day, and he was an undercover guy. And he was all dolled up with his tats on him. And he was well spoken. He was doing his thing. And he said, "How do you turn it off?" Dude, man, you just got to compartmentalize.
Yeah.
You just can't. It's just, and I like what he said, but it's just like, you could be driving home in a BMW convertible. That was my G car in Philadelphia. I have to put that out there. BMW convertible. We seized it off a kid who delivered a kilo of crack. Kilo of crack, man. 34-ounce baggies. Kilo of crack. Took his car, 3,000 miles on. I still remember it. And you're driving home in a BMW convertible. And you're living in Princeton, New Jersey, with your beautiful wife, and she's working in Manhattan. She's doing her thing. And just the night, you usually left at 4:00 in the morning. And you just kicked a couple doors in, because it was we call them roundups. And you successfully, no issues. No issues. And you come home. And the first thing you're going to say is, "What do you want to do for dinner tonight?"
Yeah.
You're like, "Oh my God, I don't know. What do you want to go to that Italian place in downtown Princeton? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
So you guys felt it.
Tell us a little bit about where you're at today, what you're up to now.
Right today, I come across different things. Podcasting. I'll do some motivational talks. To different groups. I just actually, if you got any hooks, man, I just put in for All American Entertainment Public Speaking Bureau. If you got any hooks, to get me, I just sent the stuff into them, and I think there's enough in my tool bag that I can hold an audience. I think.
Well, that's amazing. But you're also just, and I mean, it's amazing that how long you served. And usually, like when people tell, when a lot of people think of their retirement, they're counting the days. And here, you wake up one day and HR is saying, "Hey, God, it's time." And you're like, "Wait a minute, hold on."
It really, Dave, thank you very much. And Jack, I tell you, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I knew.
Yeah, you weren't ready.
You know, I didn't like it. I just, people say to me, you know, why didn't you move to the next level? Why just went? You know what? I was content where I was.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to be one of these guys that, you know, some guys chase the carrots. I don't want to be that guy chasing the carrot.
Yeah.
I chased the carrot, 4 PCSs, and I got the QSIs. QSIs are like quality step increases for exemptional work you get in the division. I got one in Philly, one in Quantico, one in St. Croix, and then I just felt like I was like done. Like I was like finished, man. All of this stuff they put into you, all of this great training. Man, I love training. I can't tell you how many rounds. And, you know, like even to this day, I still carry the same weapons I carried in the job. I carried my 9mm as my Glock 9mm, certified to carry it. I carried it as my backup weapon. My Glock 22 was the duty weapon. I had to turn that in. I still got a tactical 12-gauge shotgun I bought for myself. I got an M4 5.56. I've been on those weapons. You know, and trust me, you meet me in person, you see my life, you'd be like, no way is that guy a barrel sucker. And I call him a barrel sucker because you couldn't tell me about, well, that's a 10.5mm barrel. And it's short velocity range that twists around. I'm like, what are you talking about? I just put the mag in, lock and load, bam, 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 you know, and that's how it works. But
gun shoot, gun good.
yeah, gun shoot, gun good.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I love that. Gun shoot, gun good, you know? But I try to do that. I try to keep in touch with personnel that I worked with on the job. I try to keep in touch with people that this won't blow you away. And I know my wife told me, don't get into your personal talking, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Every year, the 1979 Marion Cold football seniors, there's 18 of us. We get together every first Saturday in October for a football reunion back in near Allentown, Pennsylvania.
That's fantastic.
Is that freaking cool? And every year we give back to the current football program. It's a private school. I'm a parochial kid.
Yeah.
From first grade to 12th grade. I went to private school. My dad was a public school teacher, and he's like, you know, I can't send my kid there. You got to go to private school. Myself, my 2 sisters. This year, our gift, which we will present to the team, they have a locker room called the Blue Room. We are going to give them a 55-inch color TV. We're going to give them a drink refrigerator, drink for drinks, a PlayStation with an extra controller, and Madden football games. The kids are going to freaking die. And we blow them away every year.
Yeah,
blow them away every year. You know, and last year we bought them plates, blue and gold rubberized plates. And these blue and gold rubberized plates are not cheap from Titan Fitness, from the 45s and 25s or 45 and 35s. They were like, wow.
Yeah.
Because remember, Catholic schools, you know, it's
those are like some bougie 45s that you're laying on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then one year, my good buddy, we got them this thing called a sound box. You know what a sound box is? It's like a miniature speaker. It will blow the socks off you, man. And they take it out pre-game, they put it on the 50-yard line, and they play their music.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's cool, man, right?
Yeah,
it's
very cool.
So, but I'm glad you like that and you think that's cool. And like I said, like I said, I do miss it. I do appreciate people like you. I really do. And if there's, anything I can do for you guys, don't hesitate.
Absolutely.
Tell people where they can find you, Jack. Do you have a website? Do you have a place that they can find you?
I am an old school guy. My wife, I just got a new iPhone 16 for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? I can't give the cell number out because I get all kinds of
But do you have any social media accounts where people can follow you or anything like that?
I don't. I never was able to. We were not allowed to go on social media back in the day.
Yeah.
I honored that. All I have is a regular email that you guys get to me. I will text you my cell number. I will text you. I will not. I'll email.
Yeah.
You with the number, and maybe we can discuss on the side or something. But
you're not on LinkedIn or anything.
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. Yes, there's a good one. Yes, I'm on LinkedIn. But you're going to see LinkedIn. There's no picture. There's no bio. It's just who I am.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not trying to run from anybody. I'm not trying to hide from anybody. You can more than welcome to find me.
Yeah.
But I am. That's a good one. Yeah, LinkedIn.
Okay.
LinkedIn.
So that's a good
Yes,
place
sir.
for people
Yes,
to find
sir.
you and reach out.
Yes. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else I could discuss? I mean, I think we covered
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got anything
all
else?
our
No,
things.
that's
and,
it.
I did my homework, Chris.
We
I
appreciate
know
it.
you guys. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
really
appreciate you.
appreciate it too on our end, Jack. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Yes.
And thanks, Nick, for us also for
Yeah.
like,
He'll
Yeah,
love it.
big time.
Yeah.
He's actually he's an avid listener, and
Yeah.
he's an attorney up in Baltimore, and he's a solid guy. And yeah, he'll trust me. Now, how does it? Now, when will this air? How's it doing? What are we doing? What goes on?
This is going out to our a very limited group of people on our Patreon, and it will go live on like YouTube and podcast platforms in the next couple.
yeah,
days.
it's live right now for our Patreon subscribers.
I love it. I love it.
So if you're not subscribing to Patreon, this is what you're missing.
Do we have any questions for
Yeah.
Jack?
Love it, man. Love it.
We're just going to see if we have any questions for you
That's
from
fine. So
listeners.
you're thinking about what, 2 weeks? Because some of my boys want to.
No,
no,
not
we
even. A couple days.
No, this will be out either
Couple days.
tomorrow night or Wednesday.
And what are we looking at? This one's number
53.
353.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that down. 353.
All right, so we have one question from
Okay.
M. Corbin. Do people who drug traffic did they usually always pay with cash or other types of currency?
Man, that's a great way. I mean, back in my day, it was all cash related. Maybe some assets. Maybe I'll trade you a car for 2 keys of coke. But nowadays, it's that Bitcoin, and it's a whole different game.
Yeah.
It's a whole. I even ran into one of the guys. This is a great question. I ran into some of the guys. One of the guys, that was a former. When I left Quantico, he came in as a new agent, and he goes to the one beach town here. You probably guys know the beach towns: Dewey Beach, Rehoboth Beach, Lewis, Bethany Beach, Fenwick. That's the whole strip of beaches. The beaches here, and we were up in Dewey Beach the one night, and we were talking, and we got talking about federally wiretapped, and he goes, "Oh no." He goes, totally different, he said. With all these encrypted sites,
Yeah.
it's totally different.
I
I'm
bet.
like, oh my God, I'm lost, man.
Yeah.
I'd be so lost.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
But to answer his question, back in my day, money, maybe an asset here and there. But other than that, I'm sure there's the Bitcoin or crazy other things going on with that kind of.
Yeah.
We had a case where there was a guy, gold,
Yeah.
giving gold back in Philly. You're getting
Yeah.
gold for his dope. Because he didn't want to break. He didn't want to have any cash. That's a whole nother money laundering angle to it.
Yeah.
We did some things with that. Myself and my boy Jeff, we were pickup men for in Philadelphia for a trafficking organization. We were picking up money, and we were of course laundering the money through Philly. We're taking our cut and giving the money back to a different account, an undercover account, and. We were pickup boys. So back in the day when we were quite young, Yes.
Well,
Quite.
thanks, Jack. We really appreciate it, man. We really appreciate you coming on, reaching out and coming on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Like I said, if you guys hear of anything, please feel free. I consider you guys friends and solid guys up there. And thank you very, very much. And I need some dinner, I guess. And really appreciate it.
Yeah, hell
So
yeah.
you think in a couple of days?
Yeah.
It'll hit on
Yeah.
your website.
Yeah.
Yep.
It'll be on YouTube in like 2 days.
Yeah,
What-
it's either Tuesday night, tomorrow night, or Wednesday night, followed the next morning on audio. So in the next couple of days for sure.
Okay, so that's D. Say D. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'm gonna send an
Thank
email
you.
with my cell number to you guys, and then
Okay.
it's up to you. If you want to get back, If not, it's up to you.
Sounds
It's up
great.
to you.
All right.
Thanks for your service, man.
and
Thank you
thanks,
guys.
We'll see
Peace.
all of you guys out there next time. Thank you, Jack.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll
Thank
stay
you.
in touch.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Dave. Bye now.
Hey guys, it's Jack. I just want to talk to you for a moment about how you can support the show if you've been watching it, enjoying it, but you'd like to get a little bit more involved and help us continue to do this. You can check out our Patreon. It is patreon.com/theteamhouse. And for $5 a month, you can get access to all of these episodes of The Team House ad-free. The same goes with our affiliated podcast, Eyes On, with Andy Milburn, Jason Lyons, Mick Mulroy. That one, you will also get all of those episodes ad-free. And you support the channel and the show, and we really appreciate it. The Patreon members are literally what has helped this company, this small business survive, especially during our early years. And you are what continues to help this thing going, even as we navigate the turbulent world of YouTube advertising. So we really appreciate all of you guys. There's going to be a link down in the description to that Patreon page. And there is also going to be a link to our new merch shop. So if you guys want to go and get some Team House merchandise, we got stickers and we also have patches. And I should mention, if you sign up for Patreon at $10 a month, we will mail you this patch as well. So we really appreciate that. But they're also for sale on the merch shop. And additionally, they got t-shirts up there, water bottles, a tote bag, coffee mugs, all that good stuff. So please go and check them out and support the show. We really appreciate it, guys. Thank you.